Hey everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa, and today we are going to be painting together live. If you saw the thumbnail, this is of a fall forest reflected in a lake. It's got some nice boulders. It's got some great colors. It is a really unusual colored sky. On the mic today is my husband, John.
Hi, guys.
And if he's feeling particularly helpful, he might share our in-picture reference photo so you guys can see what we're painting today.
That one?
Yes, that one there. So that's
okay.
This is something I get asked about a lot, like how do I paint reflections? How do I paint fall? These are all things that you guys are always asking, that you're always interested in painting. And this particular image I thought was compositionally beautiful and just looked like a lot of fun to paint.
Yeah.
I'm going to sip my coffee and say that I hope you guys are all doing really, really well. Remember to check out the description below.
Whoa.
What?
Yeah, there's a lot of people here.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, we're always in that pre-show countdown and you see like there's 30 people here, 50 people here.
Yeah, and I'm always like, I'll go from 30 of my best friends.
Yeah, we're going to go live. And you're always worried. You're like, man, I wonder if it's just a Sunday. So, nope, it's fine. It's like there's like 400 people here. I was like,
and they're all ready to paint.
Yeah, they're all ready to paint.
So in that description,
375 people right here, right now. They're still piling in here. Just so you know, I don't want to mislead you. But yeah, they're coming in. So
you want to mislead me?
Yeah.
I have no way of checking. He
You
could
don't.
totally do that.
I could totally.
He's done that before. He'll pretend like we're still live when the stream goes down, so I keep teaching so he can re-upload.
Yeah. I've done that.
So he's done that. In the description below, you can click the little ... that says more, or you open it up on your phone, and that's going to give you all the complete materials list. It's going to give you links on where to get the stuff, especially links to our website where there's a traceable and a reference photo that you can have that are PDFs. But let's get started.
So they were wanting to know if they could get, before we jump into it, and I know we got to do our wishes, we got to do all our materials, but we get an early hoot count on this one.
I'm gonna put it in the 3 hoot playlist, but I'm gonna say it's probably really a 2 hoot.
So
we'll see where it comes out. There's some weird color mixtures in here. So looking at this, I would say that there's some unusual color mixtures in here, and there's some work about these rocks. This area right here has got some work in it with some reflections. There's not a real skill or complex set of artistic maneuvers that we've got to do here. But there's certainly several layers of them, like there's the fog and stuff. So we'll say 3 hoot, but be 2 hoot optimistic.
Yeah. So
definitely not a 1 hoot. But you know, if you check out the iCard, I have a 1 hoot fall landscape painting. If it's your very first time and you haven't painted in a really long time and you're not even really sure where the paint goes on the brush, that would be a really cool painting to begin with. And you just keep painting them and you'll be into the 2 and 3 hoots before you know it.
Yeah. For those,
this is how we were.
For those who just joined us, we rate things on a scale of 1 to 3 hoots, like an owl hoot.
Yeah.
So 1 hoot is really, really easy. If you've never painted, no problem. 2 hoots is if you kind of know, you've painted a couple paintings, know your way around. 3 hoots is if you kind of know if you've done a few paintings, you kind of know where you're at. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
So I have an 11 by 14 canvas here, and on it we have a wish for Aislinn. And Aislinn is, she moderates for us, and she really needs a new chair.
New chair.
Yes.
Yeah.
We also have a wish for Angela, who has a grandbaby that's coming, and she's just really wishing for a safe delivery.
Yeah, that's a good one. Safe delivery. I'd like to wish all mommies out there to be a safe delivery.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
That's a good thing to wish for.
Yeah.
You had that.
Yeah.
You did. All right, let's put out our paint.
Get some materials over there.
So I have all my materials, but, we're going to start out... acrylic paint dries very, very quickly. So one of the things I've taken to doing on these long live classes is not putting out every color of paint I'll be using in a project right off the get-go, because it'll dry out. And just putting it out as I go. And that's why the materials list is so super, super helpful. Now, we're going to do an acrylic colored ground again on this painting. Because of the way the sky is and the reflections, I think that's going to serve us really well. I put out some titanium white. I'm going to put out a smidge of my yellow ochre. If you're ever wondering how I get the paint out, I squeeze a little bit and then I press down.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're supposed to wipe the caps after each time you put out paint. And then it doesn't become like my caps. If you're, wanting on a cautionary tale, how to avoid that happening to you. This is Cad Red Light. You can use hue, by the way, guys. That's totally fine. I'm just going to put out a smidge. At this stage, I'll be putting out a lot more for that fall color. And those are the colors I'm going to use for my background. Are those pretty?
Yeah.
They're nice. They're nice. I'm going to sip my coffee, take my deep, begin my creative path breath.
Yes. Breathe in, breathe
Sip
out.
in, sip out. So many sippies. And I'm going to paint in my background. And I think I'm going to use, I'll use my big number 30. I've got a bunch of number 30s. So this is a number 30 brush for acrylic painting. This is one of my ArtSherpa brushes. It has a synthetic filament and it's quite firm. When you're painting with acrylics, you want a brush that's, especially the heavy body, that's firm enough, right, for you guys to be able to push the paint around. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to with my little palette knifers, which should be right here because I put it away. There it is. Put things away, it confuses me. And I'm going to make this crazy background color. And I might even, just because I want to gray it a little bit, I'm going to gray it with, let's risk it, ultramarine blue.
Ultramarine blue.
Mm-hmm.
Half of what you need to make Payne's gray.
But I guess I don't need to gray it right off the bat, so what am I doing?
Can't you make Payne's gray with that?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
No, not ultramarine, phthalo blue.
Oh, it's phthalo, man.
So I'm going to take a little of this
I
cad
thought
red light and mix it into my yellow ochre. And it's going to give me this kind of warm, harvesty orange. Something you might expect a mid-century modern stove to have painted on it. You can see that there. And then we're going to mix it into the white paint.
Also an excellent truck color.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to thoroughly mix it because this is an acrylic ground. It doesn't have to be perfect. This is just a good way of starting.
Now,
Isn't that lovely?
yeah, I'm going to put the picture in
Crazy
picture.
how you make that sherbet color.
We may have to scoot the palette over there a little bit.
I mean, you can see it's like real good. Like if I do a little test on my picture, it's a
hold on a
dead
sec.
match.
There we go.
It's a dead match on my picture.
We may have to scoot your picture in picture over there. See it?
Huh?
See it over there on the palette?
Oh.
Sorry. There
I have
you
a
go.
new studio assistant, and she helped me set up today, which is why it's
Yeah.
so pretty. And that would be Honey, my daughter.
and by studio assistant, we mean we're making our kids work for us now.
And I'm just going to paint this whole background, this incredible color. This solid color. So this is really a lot of fun. And I like that it feels like fall. Got to feel like, you know, that time of year. Every once in a while you're seeing me dip my brush into my water to help improve the flow of the paint. I could do that though with like, you know, Palmer medium or airbrush medium if I didn't want to use water. If you didn't want to, that's an option. But water's out of my tap and it's free.
Yeah.
So I use it a lot. I have mediums and other things I gotta buy. Cat ain't cheap, so water comes from my tap. So you can see I'm just creating that base of that color. I'm going to just nicely brush it across so it's nice and smooth. This is a background I kind of do want smooth, so you'll see me work a little bit more for that. All right, just brushing it out. Oh, goodness. Our canvas has a ding.
Oh, yes. We were down to the last.
Was this the last?
It
I was
was.
like, sweetie, just pick another canvas.
Yeah, sorry. I was like, otherwise I would have done that. That one had been.
There isn't really a good fix for this. You can repair a dented or torn stretch canvas,
I'm gonna
but
zoom
on
up
canvas
on
boards, it kind of is its
Yeah.
thing.
that little dent up there. What you can actually do is, and I do this, is I just generally bang them out before she paints on them. I mean, just put
This
it on
one's
a
pretty deep, though.
I put it on a flat surface and just flatten it,
Yeah.
bang it until it's flat, and that generally works.
Huh.
You just got to do it before it paints. Because
Yeah.
it's just cardboard and cloth that's paper mache to it, really.
Yep.
So it actually reforms.
Does it?
Yeah, it's actually
See, I
not
would
too
have
bad.
been absolutely sure that it wouldn't.
No, they do it okay. You gotta do
Absolutely
it
sure it wouldn't.
sometimes.
Let's see what happens if we add a little of our ultramarine blue to our mixture. I'm going to do a test here and make sure that it's going to gray how I want it to gray. Yep, it is. It's graying how I want it to gray. It's deepening that. You know, it's always okay to test a thing before you do it.
Yeah.
And be like, man, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. And so I'm going to test it. I got to let my background dry a minute anyway, so this is a good time for me to come over and figure out what I want to do. If I want to do, let me see this. So I'm going to be like, yeah, that's pretty much similar. So that's how I'm like, you can do that, believe it or not. You can go to your canvas and, I mean, your printout and actually test if you have a good color mix.
Yeah, you just touched it right on
You're
there.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Totally fun thing you can do. I'm going to sip my coffee. And then I'm going to paint the sky dustily in the distance. It'll be fun.
Yeah, really? Whoa! We have over 460 people here now.
Really?
Yeah. It's like you usually go over there and you're like, wow, hey, everybody, how's it going?
Everybody's ready to paint. They're like, yeah, I'm into it. It's a good day.
They're into it, yeah.
It's a good day for painting.
It is. Well, every day is a good day when you paint.
Every day is a good day when you paint. I believe. I believe. All right. So Melody Sheep and Bob Ross aside, there's always time for Bob.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and mix this bit in right now and get this sort of slightly darker color that is the itty bitty blued bit of the sky. See how little I'm taking?
Yeah.
That really is, you know, one of those things. You'll find a lot of oil painters do a lot of their mixing with their palette knives because they don't like surprise bits of color unless they intend for it.
Mm-hmm.
And in oils, that can be a big deal. You know, in acrylic, you dry it, paint over it. It's not such a big deal. But in oils, ooh, huge deal.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and take this part of the mixture and make a little more background color. So you're like, wow, that's like 2 coats for that background. And it is. Totally worth it, though. Worth the work. There we go. And as I'm getting towards the center, I can even warm it a little bit with this color right here. So it's going to be real interesting what we can do. And look at my nice little palette knifey stuff. This is all painting that also, I'm not doing it this one, but would translate really well with the palette knife as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could paint this really easily with this particular composition would be a good palette knife painting.
Now, you painted that background in with a number 30.
Yeah, I'm going back.
You're going back to that number 30. Yep.
Yeah, I'm going back with the number 30 and the slightly darker. See, it's just ever so... I know it seems fussy.
You can barely tell.
Yeah, I know. But you got to do what you got to do. Flip it over. Same thing on the bottom.
Just a little bit, huh?
Mm-hmm. And if I got to do it again even on my brush, I will do that. There we go. Just making sure this has got that slight dark tint to it. And I'll blend this right here.
They're digging your outfit today, by the way.
Are they?
Yeah, your jewelry, they think it's pretty cool.
You know, a nice little blendy blend right there. I'm picking up the background color.
Yeah, it's real subtle there.
It is a subtle thing, and these subtle things are kind of important, and you want to get them where you can. Now I'm going to get into this darker color that I have and mix it into my background, and this is warming up the background color. And this is going to give my sky that subtle, foggy day atmosphere. And you can see this color is being very softly blended in to the top and bottom kind of hued color. So see, I'm painting this up. Woo! Getting a little of my background. Pre-mixing these little plops and being able to work fast is a strategy that I can use when I'm painting. so that I can work quickly enough that my paint doesn't dry. Because, you know, acrylic paint blends when it's wet. Gotta be wet. I'm just making sure this is really soft. It's not gonna feel soft. If it doesn't feel soft, it will mess with your ability for it to feel like water. All right, let's see how we're doing. Are we subtly hued?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I touched it. Now look. Don't touch your canvas when it's wet. It's not a good idea. That's very nice. You know, and then here, it's even more like, I feel like there's even some more of that sort of grayed green. So I'm going to get a little more of this. See how I put it on my brush and I just tipped it there?
Mm.
And just make sure. Just make sure. It's the only way to be sure.
So Tammy was asking, can I use glazing gloss liquid?
Yes, please. I'm going to. So if you can.
Now that you mention it.
If you can get a Golden's acrylic glazing liquid, you can get it in any of the finishes. They have satin, they have gloss, they have matte. I like gloss the best. I thought I ordered gloss and then a different one came. Amazon.
That's
you know
the
how
Amazon
you
surprise.
It's the Amazon surprise.
Surprise!
So I'm just tipping a little blue in here, just an edge. And the reason I'm proceeding so slowly like this, right, is that it would be very easy. There we go. We're going to just brush this color across. Do you see this soft, almost like banky blue?
Mm-hmm.
These are important little bits. Banky blue, I like that. It's the riverbank. And I'm just dragging that across. Get a little more of my blue. Mix it in there. Just little bits at a time, and it's just a kiss of that. And it's going to really help it feel very much. I'll do some up there. Just brushing across, but still very blended in. So as long as this is smooth, I've managed to get my sky and water all in. Good for me. Because that was the last really easy part of the painting, I imagine. I imagine deeply that that's the last of that. I might want to make sure it's just a little even warmer. I'm so fussy. Fussy, fussy, fussy. I like landscape painting. I'm going to warm that up even more. And the reason I'm looking at that is, there you go. See how I just touched the paint there?
Yeah.
I just noticed that that's a little bit darker. And I just want to make sure that I'm not trying to put these things back later when it's harder to do. So I'm just blending that warmth up. You're like, man, how much warmth do you need? I need a lot of warmth, man. And that's what we're doing. We're just putting a lot of warmth up. See, it got on my brush there, made streaks. I got to blend it out. All right, I think we got it. Hopefully we're there. Do you think we're there, Mr. Gooney?
Yeah, I think so. Now they
Then
were
I
asking,
think I'm ready to dry.
this photo. This was actually a photo that was taken and not a Photoshop, right?
Yeah, this is a photo.
Yeah,
This was not photoshopped. I spent a lot of time looking at it. This was actually this really good nature photographer at the company I like to license pictures from, and I like his work. And he doesn't. He might run a filter on it, but he won't Photoshop it in some way where I'm like, wait, why does that boat not look right? My camera thing fell out.
Oh, I will come fix that. Hold on just a moment. I'll turn that off so that you can go ahead and blow dry, and I'll come over and see if I can fix that here while you're doing that. All right, guys, I'll be right back. Okay. Ooh, wow, look at that. So I'm going to turn my audio there so it's a little less distracting. So thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us today. Man, there's so many of you here. It's so nice to have everyone coming out and hanging out. Thank you. Thank you for coming and sharing your time with us. I really think it's always so amazing when we have so many people who come together at the same time to paint. I think that's just sort of a magical thing. You there, baby?
I am.
Oh, good.
All right. I'm just letting you finish.
Your mic all plugged in and working okay?
I think so. You have to tell me. It's in front of my face,
Yep.
so I feel good. I don't know if I can drink any more coffee.
No, it's okay. If it pops back out, I can come adjust it. It's
So, oh, sorry, babe.
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay. So I was just going to say the horizon line here, which is where this little fog bank reaches these trees that we're going to see. It's where the water's edge meets the land. That's where we're going to focus on that. Needs to be level, so I'm going to definitely use my T-square. It is a little bit below the halfway point. Canvas, and I'll take that further back than I need it. Further back than I need it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to block in this painting with paint. Now, you can totally use the traceable, but this is such a good piece to start doing that blocking in process and learn that I was like, let's just block it in.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound good?
Yes.
All right. I made a big mess on my palette. I'm trying to decide, am I going to keep using this palette or clean up? I'm gonna clean up. Don't tell anybody. Didn't happen. I didn't do it. All right, so let's put out the rest of our colors. I'm going to definitely want some burnt sienna. Some burnt sienna is a wonderful thing. I'm going to want some burnt umber. I'm going to also really enjoy some Diox purple, like you do. I am still deciding if I'm going to use black in the landscape.
Ooh, Mary Myers just asked a really nice question. Says, will this type of painting be good to use the rule of thirds?
Well, I mean, there is a bit of that in the composition of the photograph. If you wanted to do something, I mean, the only place you'd really have an option on this to do your focus and rule of thirds would be in this area, unless you wanted to put some sort of duck or animal down here. If you're this right now is a really pleasant composition. It's incredibly balanced. It doesn't take us off the canvas. It returns us back because of the color. So even though this is a strong object taking us up, the warmth of the trees is taking us back, and everything kind of pulls us in because of the reflection.
Yeah.
You could do something. You could have like a moose here. You could have a bird here. I really want to say, listen, I did a quest on this, and the rule of thirds is not actually a rule. It's a design guideline that is actually based on what was an urban art myth that this psychiatrist started. But regardless of that, it's not like it's not. No, remember we did that in the quest. It's not like golden proportions, which is based in some math that the Greeks used. It is, however, anytime that you stop as an artist, okay, I'm gonna soapbox like a villain now. Anytime that you stop and think about design as an artist, you're trying to think about how to keep the interest on the canvas, and you're trying to think about how you're going to interact with the viewer, even though you're not going to be there anymore. So these design rules, the Fibonacci spirals, the golden, triangles, the golden rectangles, the rule of thirds, and it just gets more and more complex in design theories, right? These are just ways that as artists you learn tools to keep viewers on the canvas. But rule is loose.
Right.
Loose term. I've got some phthalo blue, which I think I might have in some of these greens and maybe in my rocks, so I'm putting it out. I have got my phthalo green, like you do, which I love. I'm going to definitely put out, I'm going to put these out quicker. This is taking too long. I'm sorry, guys. my Cad Red Light. Indian Yellow. If all you have is yellow ochre, that's fine. Just wherever I'm using Indian Yellow, you can do the yellow ochre. It'll just be a little more muted. They're a different yellow, but they do a lot of the same things, so sometimes you can absolutely interchange them. This is a big palette today. Cad Yellow. I have got some quinacridone that I'm going to put right here next to my other red. And I'm going to put out my titanium and zinc white. And again, deciding if I'm going to use black. Because if I can get away without it, it's going to create a nice color-rich landscape. There's nothing wrong with black. This is just a thing I'm feeling about this project, this process, this time. So there's the zinc. There's the titanium. Where's our gloss? In the middle. So I have a nice little kind of wheel of color around my workspace. So this leaves me lots of little yummy places to mix paint. I put out my glazing medium, and I'm going to start putting in, blocking in what I've got going on my paintings. So art strategy wise, the first thing that we've got to do is we have this bank of trees that we've got to think about. We have these wonderful rock shapes, and really it's a shape, if you look at it like this, that mirrors itself and comes down here. It's kind of a fun thing. So that's going to be fun to put in. We did a real simple landscape like this where we talked about this principle, and then we have these trees here. And I think this focal grass is kind of important. And then we have these reflections in the water and our fog. So we've got to go around and get that stuff in, and I think the first thing is to get this nice bank of color in so that we can pull these objects in front of it. It'd be very hard to just draw this tree and then try to dot in little bits of orange. Be exhausting. I have no time for that. So let's begin this part of our blocking in. I'm going to get a number 8 cat tongue. Meow.
Meow.
Sip my coffee because clearly I need more of it. Get my brush wet. Drag it off. And I think I'm going to take some of my purple, my ultramarine, and my burnt umber. And if that gives me a dark enough color, I am going to only do chromatic blacks today.
Gotcha.
Which means I don't use any black pigment, but I get a dark enough hue that it feels like it is. But I feel like this will give us more vibrancy with the trees, so we're going to see how it's going to go. So really we're going to kind of try to make sure that our tree line is not repeating. It's not like a jigsaw. It's got some variance. Things have grown at different heights. And then we've got this base here, right, that we've got in the fog. So the first thing I'm going to do is paint this deep value that I'm going to hang everything on, right, build everything up out of. And so I'm wiggling my brush back and forth. And when I come up to the skyline, I'm going to get soft and dry brushy. Right, soft and dry brushy, because we've got little bits of little guys, plants, and things in the distance. And you don't want to have the same sort of shapes everywhere. And so you can actually kind of put little treetop shapes, but there, distance. And then towards this base is where it's going to be a deep color, a deep, more solid color. So purple, burnt umber, ultramarine. Right here, come across. Paying attention to my waterline. This is a big deal, this waterline. Now I've got my zinc white, and that's a lot of how I'm going to put my fog in today. So I'm going to use my zincs. Okay, just it's very dark through here, so I can have that. Probably actually going to be more dark green here, but it's not going to hurt me to have the purple. Just loading up my brush. You can see I just brush it into the paint. I'm loosely mixing back into this bit, making sure it's deep. These woods are lovely, dark and deep. Right? That's all you got to do is make sure your woods are deep. This first bit looks like a crazy hot mess. The only reason I don't panic at this stage is I have a fair to reasonable belief that if I keep painting on this canvas, I'm going to get a landscape out of it. If I was not mostly convinced of that reality, I don't know what I'd do. I would freak out. Right?
Yeah.
I would not be a happy camper about that experience at all. Now, I'm going to also, I'm going to wipe this off a bit, and I'm going to come over and get some of my zinc. I'm going to just, at this baseline, start to dust a little of this over this. Start to lighten it. So even though this is the trees, we're putting in that sort of creamy, dusty feel. So they're dark, but not. I'm only going to take this over a little bit. And I'm going to randomize my brush strokes and do loose little brush strokes so that when I come in and I build my trees, there isn't like a pattern that my eye is being like directed to. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to flip my canvas over. And I'm going to get my brush wet. I'm going to pull some of my zinc on there. But it's still a dark color. And I'm going to make sure that I also have this very brushed space where I'm pulling this out. Now I'm going to build on it with the greens and other colors that I have, but this is going to help me, right? Have it brushing back and forth. And if I flip this over, I can kind of see how it's going to be. Let's make sure we've got some tree line happening here too, right? This is just the basis, right?
Yeah.
Just some basis. We wouldn't want to have all this color up here and none of it down here. It would so register as weird to the eye. Our eye would be like, what happened? Where did it go? And we're going to have this white area here. But it's nice to just get all the fiddly bits worked out before you worry about it.
Well, while you're flipping that over, I'll let you know that Paco from Cancun is sending big art hugs.
Thank you.
Says he loves your art, learning a lot. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. So.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
High five from Cancun.
I sip my coffee to you.
Yes. To those of you in better latitudes, we salute you.
This is fun stuff. I'm going to start pulling some of my greens and warmer colors in. So the first thing I've got is, so I've got this weird background color, right? But you know what I can do? I can take a little of my cat into it. See? And that is happening over here, this sort of warmer, more purpley red space. So I'm going to make sure I've just got this here, but I don't take it down too far. You know, if you're losing your depth, you can always add a little purple, a little brown. And just make sure that this is building up. So I'm keeping my brush, look at it's wiggling. Got this little red here. Wiggles, wiggles, wiggles. It's going to be deep colors down here, pops of colors up here. Well, we're just trying to make deep colors. Go deep. Right? Go very, very deep. There you go. Just making sure it's there. So if you need the CAD, you can get right into that CAD. Right there. Anywhere you think that there might be a little bit of it sort of in the trees, you can be like distant with it and go whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. See this little random bit?
All the Canadians are reminding us that we are in a better latitude. They're like, hey, We're in Montreal, yo. We're now underground.
Well, you know, you guys moved there.
Eh?
I'm just saying.
No, I like Canada.
It's so gorgeous.
Yes. Why would you go to Canada? Because that's where all the pretty is.
That is where all the pretty is.
They just like have a ton of it up there.
So you can kind of see how I've warmed all that up, right? Already it has more of a tree feel to it.
What brush are you using there?
I am using my number 8's Cat's Tongue. And if you want to know anything about these brushes, in the description below, there's a thing that talks about the brushes that I have. And there's a link to the brush page on our website. And that page will tell you care, cleaning, about what the brushes do, and also where you can find them available. So it's a very useful site. So I've added a little Indian yellow to my mixture here. And I'm going to take this warmer. See how it's just mildly warmer? Back here. I don't have to worry about it too much because there's a big rock here. But I just need to make sure that I've got warm peeking out loosely, softly from this tree I'm going to be doing. Just loving that. You know, we're just having a nice time. Oh, this little tree kind of comes up. If you look in the reference, there's a little thing that comes up and kind of yellow. I'm going to get some more. Would you like some more? Yes, you would. So you get some more. You want to lighten it, use the zincs. If I were to use this white, I get like a cream. Get that off. All right, back to the zincs. So that's another difference between the zinc and the titanium white is the zinc lightens it without really altering the feeling that we're getting from our pigment. And so that's important. Now, this is real interesting. So I've got this orange color right here. Believe it or not, I can get into my green with it, which is kind of crazy. And that is the basis of this part of the background here. This crazy green. Do you see this here?
Mm-hmm.
It's the green and the orange. It's like the best of fall, right? Contrasting colors. You know, just do something crazy like get cad yellow on there and pop some of those. Go tap, 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 tap. Tap, 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 tap. So how am I deciding how to tap? Okay, so I don't know if I've ever explained this before. Have you ever looked at a wood wall and seen faces in it?
Yeah.
I look at my painting and I start to see tree shapes and tree lines.
Oh, yeah.
So on top of looking at this set of tree shapes and tree lines, I'm also looking at what's developing in my canvas. And I try to balance those two things together to capture what I'm doing. I just got some zinc wine in there and I'm just... See, because I'm seeing these little spots of brighter color and I'm just trying to make sure we have that. It can peek through and feel super finished. And I might take it down to what area I'm going to paint over it in a second. And that's crazy, but it happens.
Now, if you didn't have a cat's tongue, what would you suggest as an alternate?
If you did not have a cat's tongue, you would just use a bright. You could use a filbert. Filberts are almost this shape.
Yeah.
You know, a filbert is like a cat's tongue. It's just round. The cat's tongue just gives me a little point, so I don't have to change brushes as often. You can really just... You could also just paint with a good... I like painting landscapes with a good bristle. And since bristles are terrible for acrylic, I really like these Cambridge ones because they're a mix of synthetic and bristle. So it doesn't over soften and get all mushy. Who needs the mush? Do you need the mush? You don't need the mush.
Yeah, no.
Oh, look at this. We're just tapping and dancing and we're having such a lovely time. Such a lovely time. Such a lovely time. What point? I have to figure out what point I'm going to have to flip it and see it. So then there's some of this maybe over here. So while I've got it, I'm going to take it over. You know, you've got your Indian yellow and your cad red light. And then a smidge of your green. So you can start putting in some of your even deeper, darker than that. So how do you go darker than that? You put more cad in it. See? Now we're going to push that. I'm just tapping this out. These are distant, soft little creatures. And you're just trying to create what you're seeing, you know? Put the color where you see the color, and it's like a puzzle piece, and it will come together for you, and that is really the joy of this. So again, a little cad red light, phthalo green makes a darn deep green. Chromatics. So I've got these deep colors right here. Look at this. Super deep. But it still feels like a forest in this crazy purple that we put back there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that. Just put some of this in here. I love putting in the trees. They're so fun to me. So a lot more yellow on here. And some zinc. Get your green. Because there's this bright little guy right here, right? He's like, there's this little dancing guy. There's a little fellow here. Some dance here, a little bit of lightness here on some of these guys. Just look for little spots. Little spots where these colors. Oh, put some right there. That's yummy. What?
She's like, oh, yeah, there. That's good.
Yeah, well, it's just fun to, I'm just trying to look for that.
You're just finding it.
Finding it and looking for it. I got to flip this all over and do this again in a second. So, you got to have fun. Now I'm going to wipe off my brush but not rinse it because I've got to make a nice bright orange, and it needs to have the hint of green in it. Got my zinc there to lighten it up so you can see that it's quite light. Add a little cad yellow to it if I need to. All right, let's start to. So these are just little taps. I'm just trying to talk about distant little leaves that are around here. You can see them. And you're just saying, hey, there's a distant little guy right there, and he's there, and there's maybe starting at the tops of these banks, it just starts to get warmer.
Mm-hmm.
And warmer. Let's make sure that those are soft and.
Oh, wow, yeah. We do have. So I was just looking at chat, and they were like, we have over 500 people here. And I looked over, and sure enough, we do. We have over 500 people here painting along with us. And that's pretty magical, you know,
It really is.
to have over 500 people hanging out while we're doing paint stuff. I think that's just amazing. So thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us. That's pretty wonderful. So I feel pretty awesome to be a part of that.
I am excited that everybody is a part of what we're doing, too. I'm with you. I'm going to get a smidge of green to add to this. So this is the quinacridone magenta, the cad red, and this smidge. Smidges are powerful. Trust the power of a smidge.
A smidge.
So there's this one right here. This little sort of red tree shape. And then there's this deeper red. It's happening here. And then there's also some of this sort of deeper red in this bit of bank. You got to just pay attention to the colors in the bank, right? What color's the bank? I just dry brush that back and forth, pull that through.
No, Jenna was asking.
Out.
Could you real briefly summarize the challenges of using bristle brushes with acrylic?
Okay, so the issue with bristle brushes is that they're fantastically firm for heavy bodied until you rinse them out, and then they mush.
When they get wet, the fibers
just soften like hair, right?
Because they're a natural hair.
Like,
they're bristle.
They also pull in too much water.
Mm.
so they can over soak your paint.
Gotcha.
So when you're painting with it, you've got to be rubbing them into a towel, drying them out.
So those are you just got to be aware of those things.
Just wear those things. They're fine. I do it all the time. These are nice because they're a mix of synthetics, and I love that.
Yeah. Is your mic holding on okay for you?
It's holding on okay. I'm
right.
looking at my distant trees, feeling pretty good about those distant little trees.
Actually, I thought it was the photograph when I first looked over there. So,
feeling pretty awesome. I just have one last layer of highlight. So I'm going to grab my Indian yellow and a lot of my zinc. You can see how light that is what I'm pulling in there. And I'm going to make sure that there's bits of highlight just tapped into these little trees where the foliage is maybe lighter and more thought out. Not that they were ill-conceived trees to begin with. I mean, they grew. They found where to be. There we go. Some nice. Right there. Saying there's some highlights here. A little bit of this here. It's just sort of fun to sit there and talk about what could be here. Got this nice ink on here. I'm gonna put a little yellow, and I think it needs to be oranger there. Let's get into our oranger color. Go get it. And go get this. Be like, no, you're a distant little bush. Don't you know you are? I can barely see you. Barely. Now, while we're here, we're gonna rinse this out. We're going to get a round brush. I'm gonna get a number 4 round. This is a nice point. I really like it. Whatever brush you use one that'll give you a nice point so you can put in some little trees. I'm going to get my brush wet, drag off the extra water, go to my brown and umber, right? And then mix my ultramarine blue into it, which makes that first gray color, right? Now to really gray it, guess what I grab? My cad. Because of the way ultramarine and cad engage each other, it's going to be super gray. Well, still super purple, but you know, you do what you can do. So I'm going to get my zinc because I need these guys to feel very light and far away. Right? Light and far away. And kind of faded. So just give yourself some, say that there's a few little trees happening along the shoreline. Little distant little guys tucked in, hiding out, doing their weird little thing. Lots of little trees. And I like to, when I'm trying to talk about trees in the forest, I might peek a little trunk, you know, show some but not all. Not going to stress on it. You know, not going to take myself too seriously. Serious. And I don't need all the trees in the world because, you know, we've got fog. We've got a lot of foreground stuff. We just want enough to feel like we've got a nice balance of trunks that feel tree-like. So let's see how that's looking. Do we look like, oh, we got some distant trees.
Very nice distant trees.
They're peeking out. Peeking out. Up close. You know, it's the Monet effect, right? It looks crazy. Back up. Looks kind of cool.
It's actually looking really pretty cool here.
I think the biggest barrier to landscape painting is feeling like, you know, you can't get the results that you want. Right? That it's just messing with you. Now I want to dry brush the next part over here, so I'm going to dry this with my hairdryer real quick.
Okay. And I will take this time to thank all of you guys for coming and hanging out with us again, because totally love having you guys here. Don't forget to do all the social things, like, comment, subscribe, share. You know, we love when you do those things. It helps let the automated systems know that you guys kind of like what you're seeing here and that you might want to see some more of it. So it helps us with that, and we really appreciate it. But the biggest thing you can do really is to share your images. Totally love seeing those. It's one of my favorite things is to see those out there. So, yes, thank you very much.
He's not kidding. So I'm going to get my zinc white. And I'm going to come in first. I'm going to make a nice strong mark across here. The thing about zinc is it's very transparent. If you're painting regular white, you're going to have to you could maybe mix it with gloss medium or varnish to get it to glaze a little bit. It's what I would do. Like if I couldn't get to my zinc, I would mix my glazing medium into my titanium white, make it as transparent as I could. But it would be very milky, so it wouldn't quite give me the exact same effect that my zinkers does. I'm going to just very softly put a little bit of distant fog. I'm wiggling my brush back and forth. My brush pressure is super light. You notice I'm not even bending the bristles. Right? And that's like one of the things that we're going to want to... So we're saying there's this distant fog bank. You can use your fingers if you need to.
Totally a legal move.
Well, and one we all use. Blending. Do it on the makeup. Might as well do it. So if you're not getting the softest edge that you need, you can push it to get it. What you're trying to create here is soft edges. I'm going to really have this somewhat stronger by the bank, but I still want a darker line here, see? Just a little bit. So don't take that out completely. This is like a dry brush. It's a little scumble. You could do this with my cloud brushes. Whatever brush you're comfortable creating your atmospheric effects with, you can do that. All right, lovely. Fantastic. Let's see.
Looking nice and foggy.
It's nice and foggy. Nice and foggy. Nice and foggy. Let me see. I gotta keep looking. So it'll help that the lake will have a very similar thing. And the next thing that you're gonna do, just to be sure that everything is good, put back some, not all, some of your, and I might even with a little of my titanium white this time, some of your trunks. And they'll look like they're coming in and out of the fog. Just a smidge of the titanium white.
Ooh, Becky's little brush Jacob is watching along today. He's 7.
Hi, Jacob!
And is enjoying this painting.
Oh, thank you. So see how we made some of them stronger and more thought out so they could feel like they were coming forward? Doing a little of that. It's super nice. All right, let's flip over. Lots of reflection work to do because we've got to create this reflection through here so that when we put the rock, we've got it at least where we need it. So back to our color mixes.
So if you wanted to use, say, a sponge for this technique, could you? For your fog, if you wanted to use a sponge for the fog technique,
look, there's not like a right or wrong way. I'm getting some of my green in here, and I've just muted it with the mixture that I had over here. Making it darker, making it more muted. Yeah, you absolutely could.
It just depends on how you want that effect to come through.
Yeah, it just does. It's just like, how do I want this to feel? How do I want that to be?
This is a great setting if you wanted to say, have someone on the shore with a Patronus or something.
It is a perfect Patronus painting.
Yeah. Whole time I was looking at it, I was like, man, That's exactly what this could use.
So I'm going to get back into it. I'm going to get a little of my orange on my brush again, like we had before. And make sure that I tint it with a little green. Get that color going again. I'm going to do this thing where on these, how I'm going to do these reflections. And it's a little fussier here. It's a little more thoughtful here. So I'm going to be coming straight out these colors. And
yeah.
wherever I have them, I'm kind of wiggling them forward. Can you see this?
Yeah. No, they'll notice that you flipped a reference photo.
Yep. Just making sure that I've got this coming forward. Pulling these vertically and kind of, they're straight, but they've got this sort of thing to them. And every once in a while, pull some of your color to the right or left. See what I'm doing right here? So what I'm doing is, I know, it's crazy. Let's go it's really orange over here, so we'll do it over here a lot. So I'm going to come forward. See, I'm coming forward, and I'm wiggling. See, I'm wiggling.
It's the water wiggles.
It's the water wiggles.
Not to infringe on any.
And then I pull out to the right and to the left. See it? Horizontally.
Oh, yeah.
Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Maybe getting a little crazy with my wiggles here. But who's to say my trees don't reflect this far? I've gone nuts. That's fine. Happens.
Next time I'm going to have to prepare so I can flip the picture in picture, because everyone's like, John, can you flip the picture in picture too? I'm like, I can actually.
Really?
Yeah. Actually, I wonder if I could do it right. I could do it right now.
All right, let me see how it's going. All right, yeah, it's starting to be all wiggly, watery. All right, and then just to show you guys how it's developing. See how it starts to develop into a more reflective kind of surface. And I just have to layer it up because there's a lot of color here. And I still have to get some like little tree branches in, and I have to really glaze it. And then we have little reflections on the surface, which are fantastic for us. So more Indian yellow out. Missed my paint because already you see what I mean about it'll dry. It'll dry.
Hey, look, I figured it out. I can do it. Hey, Cinnamon, look.
What?
It's upside down.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
There you go. So we've got the picture in picture upside down for you to match what Cinnamon is doing now.
So I'm taking my CAD or red light into my Indian yellow. I'm getting a little zinc to brighten it. And I'm starting to get these brighter colors into the space and just tapping them and pulling them, right? Because they're reflections. The trick will be I don't want them to go horizontal. I need to avoid angles. And then pull out. And then pull out.
So you actually see, the thing is you're flipped versus upside down on your reference image.
Yeah? I don't know what you mean.
Well, so you're painting a mirror of your upside down.
Oh, yes. I don't know. I don't know. Are we eating Stranger Things? Where's the no upside down? Not doing it. No, no. That is not a good place. We need to. I want to go smack all those government officials that are still there messing with that stuff. That was like they never saw aliens. These people. If you saw Ghostbusters, you should know better. I'm just adding the colors here. And this is the dance I'm going to be doing. And I'll pull it straight. And then wherever I might have gotten my line off, then I just try to blend it. All right, into my quinacridone in CAD red. You can tone it or mute it with a smidge of green. There's a lot of that right here in the center. I want to make sure I've got that. There's some here. Having fun. Now I'm having too much fun is my problem. Get a little of my yellow on here. my cad yellow. Brighten it up. We need some bright colors. More bright. It's just exciting. Let's get my yellows going. Okay, more bright. I see. Then pull a reflection. A little more cad red. Cad yellow, cad red. The brush is dirty, so I don't have to worry about constantly muting. Pull a little bit here and there. Little yellow.
You see,
Make it a little white.
you keep making Stranger Things references,
I do.
and it's like torture. They're like, when are you gonna paint it, Cinnamon? Sherpa, gotta give it to us. We need it. Must have the Stranger Things.
I understand, guys. I do.
You're working. You're thinking about it.
I'm thinking about it, but I gotta deepen this area here,
Okay.
guys.
All right.
So I'm gonna take my purple and my brown and my ultramarine. And I might, if I'm seeing it correct, I'm gonna add some quinacridone to this.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna just keep evening that. See, I pull that reflection there, and then I'll pull it back. There isn't like one way or another. Like there's tricks and hacks for reflections. Everyone will have a different way that they kind of get through this subject matter. Add some dark here. And then get my green. That's some nice dark green that I got. Just looking at my reference and also what I have. And
The upside down reference.
yes. I just got to make sure that when I layer the rocks in here, it's going to be okay. Now I'm going to take a little of my zinc. And I'm going to just come across, brushing it softly. There's very little on my brush.
Just kind of.
Soft, soft. Horizontal.
Just like magic.
I mean, look. Getting there, yeah. Almost done with this whole section.
Wow, it's just coming together just like.
Let's get a little of our titanium white, a little zinc white, our background color again. And make sure that our reflection shows some tree branches. What you want to do. Little light, faint tree branches. Just barely there. That was my titanium white. So once we have that, I'm going to flip this back over.
All right, hold on a second here.
Evaluate anything that I want to. See, that's so bright. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, coming back with some zinc. Too bright. It's too bright. See, and you can see how much more powerful titanium white is over the zinc.
Oh yeah.
It's just hugely much more intensely powerful. You get a little more zinc. And come across here. And look. Where it pulls those. Isn't that nice?
That is cool.
So, little of this, get a little glaze. If you want more of that. a little of my zinc and pull it. Blending it and pulling it. And I'm just kind of taking this forward like this is like little ripples. Little ripples in the water. Little ripples in the water. I don't know why I'm singing that. Just enjoying this.
Because you're making little ripples.
Making little ripples. And this is about it being horizontal. So there we go. And we got that. Getting there. We're almost there. One last thing to do. I'm going to take a sharp bright
Well, you're kind of missing.
or angle brush.
Yep.
Huh?
So we got to put the rock in too, right?
No, I'm all done.
Big rock.
Nope,
Gotta put that
all
rock.
done. No,
The
no.
trees. And
I edited it.
okay.
No.
That's good. All right, we're almost done, guys. See you later.
Alright. I'm going to take my angle brush, any brush that's going to give me nice lines, and I'm going to make some white, titanium white water disturbances. Doesn't really matter what brush you're using, you just want to make these nice water disturbances. Disturb the water. Disturb it a lot. See, I gotta go rinse things and then I got, wait, no. I want to make sure my reflections come in from both sides so that my landscape feels more real and more resolved. And now I'm looking at it and I want to get even stronger. I'm going to take a little of my titanium white into my zinc. And make sure this area, I'm just going to be brushing back and forth. So it's a little titanium and a little of my zinc right here. Can you guys see that? I'm just landscape painting on a weekend. There we go. So now we fogged. Hey. Sorry. I don't know why I cackle evilly when something works. It's so strange. I'm going to sip my coffee. Take a minute, assess my painting. It makes me happy. I like its colors. Lots of fun reasons to enjoy it. Hopefully you guys are like, ooh.
Yes.
I really promise you I don't
Very
bring in
much
a
so.
color to mess with anybody.
Yeah, no. Everybody's really been enjoying this. This has been just been fantastic over here. So, thank you. I just ran over there and warmed up my coffee. Is what I dashed away for. So.
Did you?
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Well, isn't that fun how we have that kind of foggy effect background?
It really is. I'm gonna come back over here to the close-up camera so that you can really see those little ripplies that you put in there. But those turned out really nice.
I can even, in a couple places, do this thing where from where I strengthen the white, pull a little bit up. See what I'm doing?
Yeah.
This is going to make it feel like the lake is, have you ever seen that thing where the lake mists up?
Oh yeah, where it steams up.
Uh-huh. It's going to
That's
make it look
awesome.
like that. So if you have a fisherman in your life, or you are a fisherman, right, how inviting would this be? Let's look at that. That can really help sometimes. Those little, isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I love playing with the paints. Make me happy. So now we're misting it up. Little puffs of mist up. You know, so that is fantastic. Now this is that moment where I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'm golden. I've got to make sure that my rock, I'm going to use my zinc, is going to be in pretty darn... the zinc is really easy to paint over, so it's a nice thing to sketch in.
Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
So I can bring this nice little rock shape down. And I'd be like, maybe lower. Maybe lower. Oh, yeah, I could go. It's not like anyone reported the rock. I'll just, and then the second one has like kind of a little raise up. It comes out to a little point. Now I'm going to have to make another very series of straight lines to talk about this little rock's point where it meets the water, because this is level, right?
Yeah.
So let's get those little suckers in.
Yeah, that's one of the things you were talking about. Is it's very important for it to be level.
So important.
Gotta keep that.
Make sure this isn't messy.
Oh,
One of my biggest mistakes that I make in my paintings, one of the many big mistakes, one of the biggest mistakes that I make in my paintings is not checking that my tools are clean or that my hands are clean, and then I get paint where...
You didn't necessarily want it.
Yeah. So this is a Woodless watercolor pencil by Arteza, and they come in a bunch of little colors, and they're really nice to sketch on canvases with, if you wanted to. So I took the little blue line back here, even though he's going to have a little friend who comes forward. I'll say a little bit, not like a whole lot, like a little bit. Hopefully this is going to be a little bit. We'll see. We'll see if it's enough of a little bit. And I'm going to go back to sketching with my zinc white, because it's just lovely to sketch with. Sketchy sketch sketch with my zinc white. So if I have this little rock here coming up, right, then there's another sort of nice sloped rock that comes up almost to the top of what's happening here, which has got like a little rise up. Do you guys see this little purple? I didn't see that earlier, but now I do. I want to put it in.
Hold on a second. I'm not sure I see the purple you're talking about. Let me zoom out on the other thing so I can see, so you can point at it for us.
Okay. I'm sorry. Just
There.
noticed it and got real excited, because that's really lovely in this space. I'm just trying to think, what do I keep and what do I edit?
So you're looking at the purplish hues there and the
Yeah.
shadow on the trees
Yeah.
and on the rock there.
You have to decide if I want my deadfall. I know I want my little grasses, and I want some trees here. I like this purple here. Mostly I'm excited about these rocks.
It's almost like there's some blue there at the edge of the rock there where it touches the water.
Yeah, well, it does look blue, doesn't it? It looks so blue. I'm blue, ba-da-dee-ba-doo-da, dee-ba-doo-da.
Now,
all right, here we go.
Yeah.
There's the blue. And you can see how the pigment goes right into my paint.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I've got my... Here, I'll just... Doesn't matter, because this is all rock. I'll just use this blue pigment, which is now part of my acrylic paint, to talk about this rock. So I've got this rock and that rock. And then... And then... take a little of my phthalo blue and my burnt umber, and if I need to, a little Carob. I'm trying to make a very deep color. I'll say, all right, so here we go. Just laying that in for the future here. Because they have this very noticeable ribbon of dark right here, don't they? Very noticeable ribbon of dark. The noticeable ribbon of dark. It's very important. Go complete Audubon Society here.
Mm.
So, you know, just put that in. That's sort of sketched in. They have some, you know, personality. Like this guy has got a little crack, and there's some cracks in the stone. And we're going to talk a lot about our little stone. But right now, we have to flip it and do the same thing on the other side, which is crazy, but it's what we got to do.
All right.
What's very nice is that, and it's really fantastic, is that our water is kind of blurry. That's in our favor. And we're going to quick get all these reflections in before we paint the final trees, because I have kind of a cool thing I want to do with the final trees. So I'm coming down like that. And then this one comes up.
Let me get over there so I can see what
and
you're doing.
I'm just repeating what I have up here. I'm just trying to repeat here. And then this guy has a nice little slope, so I got to repeat that. So if it goes down, it goes down, it goes up. So like if it curves in, you want them to curve in like an hourglass.
Yeah.
There you go. So that is the reflection that we're dealing with on our rockitude. And I'm going to say right here, there's a very interesting thing that kind of curves in, because this is so deep in shadow. so much shadow. So much shadow. And it looks like we need a little more orange coming up here. So it's good that we got this done. So let's get our stuff in. Let's go dark color first.
Dark color first.
All right. Ultramarine blue, burnt umber, little ducks purple, little cad red light if you need it. Make it deep and dark. Keep it secret, keep it safe. All right. Not important. I'm going to just make sure that this is dark and only comes to about here. If you need your glazing medium, it can help you at this stage. And just make sure that I'm pushing these things and paint that in, paint it in, paint it in. Very dark. So if you paint it in the reflection, you're going to have it in the final paintings. It's something to think about when you're deciding what you'd like to do.
Yeah.
I'm going to come over to my green because my brush is dirty. Put a little more brown in it. You can always come and get a little of the Indian yellow. But see, I've got this nice deep foresty green. And we're going to make some nice little... See how these are like sort of pulled back and forth? Oh, there's a little bit over here. Just softly. I'm going to get a little more purple on my brush. See, some of these are darker. Horizontal is your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. Horizontal is your friend. The ability to stay level is really key. And it's a struggle for me. So, like, if you're like, man, this is really hard. Dude, I get it.
Otherwise, it's not calm water.
Yeah.
It's moving water.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's ripples. Stuff is happening. I purpled that up a bit. Push this out here. Before it comes down, there's a little bush. We're just talking about these things that are here. Maybe a little more of this. It's going to take a little second to pull together, but it will pull together. See how so like this is a spot that's collected with a lot of color. This is a spot that's collected with a lot of color. So I'm looking for those spots right here. I'm saying, all right, I see you. I'm not going to see everything in the photograph. I would have to, for me, I would probably paint this several times to see everything in the photograph. Because your brain tends to want to edit out a little bit.
Right.
So I'm going to take a little of my cad red and my quinacridone red. A little bit of both and some Indian yellow. You can always, again, knock them back with a smidge of green, right?
Now, is this your first time painting this one?
Oh, yeah. I just saw this and just really wanted to make sure we painted it this fall. Is that okay?
Totally. I just didn't know if you had prepared for this.
No, I didn't. I mean, like all my life.
Right. But I mean, nothing special. You didn't, to speak of.
No, nothing special to speak of. I didn't like rehearse it a bunch of times, and well, I've got this here in mind as well.
Or even once.
Or once.
Which is what I was, like.
Implying. Is everyone like, this is really questionable? Is that what's going on?
No, not at all. I just think it's funny because it's like.
I just added some more green to my color so I can come here and start doing my little.
I'm always trying to get some. I'm like, you could practice that. And she's like,
no.
I got it. Just go. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, you're always trying to get me practice. I'm like, makes me go, oh no. So I'm just trying to make sure that I've Got some colors that I'm building up in my water. It's looking pretty good. Going into my yellow, my Indian yellow, a little of my orange. See, my brush is dirty, so that's really helping me. Helps me. It's a dirty brush.
I've always known you just to be like, you're very much like, I want to paint the next thing.
Well, I am a daily artist almost, right?
Oh, more than that. I mean, like, multiple. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. You got so many different ideas that you want to paint. It's hard to
keep up with all of it.
It's hard to get you to do one painting more than once.
One painting.
You're like, I got no more time for that idea. I gotta go on.
No more. I can't do this no more. Yeah, so it's it's one of those things. I'm gonna make my orange again. I'm gonna get some of my zinc. Put some of this brightness out here. Sure, I just hit it with a couple places. Just something that's cheerful, right?
Yeah.
Pull it out, like pull. Oh, I love it. I'm okay. It's just fine. Having a good time. I didn't need to put some orange there, so that was weird. Sometimes I just get I get to painting. So there's the painting that I'm looking at, right?
Yeah.
Which is super fun. And then there is also the painting that is happening on my canvas, which is a hard thing to explain, but basically it's like I've got two paintings that I'm kind of thinking about and dealing with.
The one that it's there and the one that could be there?
Well, and then I start to see things in this, and then I want to do things with the color. Like you do.
Yep.
I'm going to get into my ultramarine blue. And then I'm going to get into my burnt umber. Just make sure that I am... See, there's all these dark ripples. I just don't want to lose those. Those are important to the story. There's a story. Man named Brady. Pull this over. Ah, there it goes. Ripple. See how I'm rippling it? Ripple.
Yeah.
Just happy little ripples. I like to listen to the sound of the brush dusting the canvas very much. Very much. So since we're already, kind of flipped over and everything, we'll start putting in our base color for our rocks. So just take this dark color, if you has it. Do you have the dark color? And start working that in, because rocks need a base. Rocks, more than anything in painting, are built of layers. Takes a lot to build up sediment. No.
No?
No.
I don't know. What do you... I did no.
Irksome.
What's wrong? Did color go bad?
No, I forgot to use... So there's a thing that happens sometimes with your...
I'm confused.
I'm going to just take this across here. So I need to make sure that my water line is level across my rocks, and I bi-leveled it.
Oh.
But I didn't see it till I flipped it.
Is that okay?
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Oh, okay.
I'll just go like this.
This
Split the difference, work it out.
This is an
So
11 by
what's
14.
happening here is I've put this off a little bit. So what I'm doing, since I have a shadow, I'm going to split the difference and work it out.
Ah. That's 11 by 14, right?
Yes.
Canvas? Okay.
Yes, 11 by 14. The best canvas. So that's just the ultramarine blue and the burnt umber. Right, and then I'm going to do this one back here. I'm going to put a little more blue on then brown.
You scoot the canvas forward. Or just there.
All right,
Perfect.
and then a little of my zinc, just so that the second rock is a smidgy different color than the first one. Actually, it can have a little quinacridone. Look at this. It is a smidgy different color than the first one. It has some pink to it. Ha 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 ha. Thank you, rock. I'm going to just make sure that I get that all in, because I need a basis on my rock. If I don't have a basis on my rock, man, the whole thing will fall apart. I can fix reflections. I can do a lot of things. But unless I have a basis of rock here, I won't have anything. So just getting these blocked in, and then I'm going to have to make them reflectory. They have to be rocks and reflections. Doesn't that sound fun? But hopefully your goal here is to be able to tell you have these two shapes that are here that you're going to be building on, so that you can put some trees in and blend your treesies like you do.
Like you do.
Like I do. All right, to do my trees here, to get that same blend like that we were liking over there, we're going to get our round brush and make our dark trunks, right? And then we're also going to have a nice soft bright, we'll say this one, to smidgy the trunk. Ready to smidgy the trunk?
Yes.
Everybody wants to smidgy the trunk. So, pulling out my burnt umber and my ultramarine blue. Okay, red if you need it. And I'm going to take a trunk and go kind of to the right. Paint is still wet, and because of that, I can shift it a little bit and then come back through. Do another little one here. Get a little more paint. Just building up the paint. Make sure I've got some. And if you have to like hand design it out, you've just got to make sure that you've got some little ripply reflections. Ripple, 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 ripple. So you're just blending those edges. And if you have to pull it out with the round, pull it out. See? Little rippled. Ripply, ripply, ripply. Don't give up on your ripples. They need you. And it's okay to let light marks happen, because you've got all these little trees and the light ones will just seem more distant. You've only got to worry about a few key trees that you have a lot you have to say about. This little guy right here. Little key tree. Dun, 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 dun. Where are you? All right, little key tree. Come here. And then we'll just make sure you get a little ripple to your trunk. See, we're rippling it out?
Mm-hmm.
Just ripple it out a little bit. Blur, blur, blur. Blur, 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 blur. You can always come back with your detail brush, making little marks. Lots more little branches. Don't give up yet. You're almost done. You're okay. I'm going to take this dark and I'm going to make sure I make that a soft edge here coming out. Like there's plants, like there's stuff afoot. Right? Like there's stuff afoot. Happy, happy, happy. I am liking that.
Me too. So is everybody else here.
Oh, really good.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
That's so good. I'm so glad. So we have to look at our rocks, and we're just trying to see, like, so where's their dark value? Where's their light value? These rocks have a really weird tint of pink in them, which is kind of cool. We get some nice grass here, and we just have to talk a little bit about their shape and stuff. And I feel like I'm going to get into my clouds to do this.
Yep.
So cloud brushes aren't just for clouds. They're essentially a infinite deerfoot stippler. They're a scumbling brush. And they do a lot of dry brushing and textural techniques. So if you're trying to talk about something that's rough and textural and you're trying to paint that, this is a really, really good tool. If you don't have one of these, an old bristle brush or damaged brush that you can dry brush and also do some rough brushing with will work. So don't, let whether you have something or not be the barrier to you getting to do this. So I'm going to just, and what's wonderful about this is, like, sometimes it's just super satisfying to just scrape a canvas and scumble a canvas. You're like, man, this canvas just needs a good scumble. I'm disturbed by the fact that I've used no burnt sienna or yellow ochre. I may have to take this off the materials list.
Oh, you may not need them.
Oh wait, no, I use the yellow ochre in the background. So see, I'm just scumbling this devalue here. Scumbling this up. And he can come forward a little scumbled. Come forward a little scumbled. Scumble, 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 scumble. So this is our first layer. We're scumbling this first guy. Right? And it's very rough. Now I'm going to take I'm going to maybe put a little of my Cad Red and a little of my quinacridone into this mix, and I'll get some of my zinc. And start building up this rough rock. And I'm just making these rough little brush strokes. Rough, 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 rough. Rough, 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 rough. Rock, 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 rock. Get more into this and more into my blue, which will gray out. Get a little zinc. And all right, there's some bright faces, so we'll start brightening some of the faces. Might even on occasion pull out though, see? Make that a little bit reflective in the water. Any dry brushing brush you have, where you can just be like, rock, 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 rock. You could do these real easy with palette knives if you wanted. Come here. There's a nice little sort of edge. I'm going to pull that back, that little edge. Let's see if there's a little bit of something here. This is like blurry, so don't forget to blend on occasion. Pull some of your hard lines out. So you have these hard lines, right? And they're going a particular direction, but you've got to make sure that you pull enough of those out. Load with blue. Come mix in zinc white. Just make sure that the faces. And then here's like, look, I'm going to pull into the water a little bit. And then the top of this is just a lot more blue, and then it gets pink again, so let's say, all right, right here. And then we have to leave the dark waterline right here. So another thing you can do when you need to make like rock texture with this, you can tap in. See how it taps in?
Mm-hmm.
And breaks up line where you need to. And then pull. Now I'm going to get a little bit of that magenta on here because that pink in the rock. And then I'm just going to pull. Maybe even. Where'd my Indian yellow go?
You used it up.
I used it up. Doing some weird things here. I'm warming it up a bit. Just a smidge though. And if your brush is too big for your space with these, they've got sizes. So you can switch to a smaller brush if you need it. Alright, and then a little of that. It's still grayed. Is it grayed enough? So what I'm doing is I'm getting my grain colors and I'm looking for a pink that's very grayed. There we go. So we'll just pull down. Just this little water line has happened here. Where this rock is. And then you can even come in more white. Say, oh. See? See that nice little line? Pull it in. Sorry, I get fiddly.
Oh, no, it's okay. No, actually, Gail was curious. Is there a reason why you painted the reflection first?
Yeah.
What is that?
I have a lot of detail and stuff happening up here, and I wanted to make sure this was settled, so when we resolved this, we were good.
Ah.
It was just project planning.
Just how you...
I can always, like, go back and anything that I need to add to the reflection, I can. I'm adding a little highlight to this rock. There, and I'm going to add, again, a little more highlight at the front here where it's pulling down for this water line. Now, let's gumble some stuff here because there's some weirdness in this water, and we want to just say, nothing, 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 nothing. My detail brush and my darkest values that I can mix. And I'm going to come behind this and make a little crack. Might talk about a little few cracks in the rocks, like you do. Talk about a few little cracks in the rocks. You don't have to talk about all of them, but you do need to acknowledge that some of them are there because they're important to the piece. They're just big gray blobs. Just big gray blobs. Just big gray blobs. And then a little bit of that blue that John had noticed with a little bit of the zinc. There we go. What else do I have in this rock? I have a little bit of grass, and I know I like this grass, so I'm going to definitely hang in for it. A little bit of my green to tone it. There we go. Let's put in some nice grass. Could be right here. Just softly though, just dry brush it soft. Don't get too crazy because you just want to imply that it's there.
Not too crazy.
Don't get too crazy. Some crazy, get a little crazy, but not too crazy. A little more green. Just a little bit of it. We're just going to give a hint. I'm going to tell the whole story. We're just going to give a hint. There's some little green here. All right. We've done that. We've talked about that a bit. Let's talk about this rock. This interesting fellow. All right. This interesting dude. He needs some personality. Same sort of nonsense going on. So I'll just load up with my ultramarine blue and my burnt umber to begin with.
Yep.
And I will just really quick give him a scumble in. Scumblies, scumblies, scumblies. Nothing to do but put in a layer of paint sometimes.
Yep. Paint it in.
Paint it in, paint it in. Scumble and blend it up here at the top. Now, there's an interesting like little form here. So I'm going to get my zinc onto my brush. I'm going to talk about this a little bit. I'm going to just pull that down. So see, there's that shelf, that space that has that going on. Start to put in that highlight. Still have our deep values. Let's hit the top up here. And we've got one right here. And remember, you can pull it a little bit past its little boundary simply because it's in the reflection.
Okay.
So you can blend it out that way, see? And it'll just add to that it's super reflection. It's going to be crazy when this thing is done. You're going to be like, what? Where did that come from?
It's
I
looking
didn't even
pretty
know we
amazing
painted
already.
that today. I'll be like, yeah, we totally painted it. So I'm just leaving some cracks for the rock.
Cracks for the rock.
Cracks for the rock.
All right.
Leaving some little cracks for the rock. No, it's too much. So I blended that in. If I feel like something is too much, in general, I'm going to just drag this across like this just real quick.
All right.
Just drag this across here. Now I'm going to get my pink, my quinacridone, into my rock color, which is like this crazy color. So like you got to look at stuff like that is, you know, sometimes your rocks are pink. And people just don't think I'm going to paint a pink rock today. But when you're out there in the wild, right, what is your rock? Your rock could be totally pink. And I'm just doing these little rock strokes down. Talking about rockiness.
Rockiness.
Yeah. And there's some little rockiness here. Rockiness. It's rough to be a rock.
Now, Nikki was asking about our upcoming holiday Christmas list.
Yes.
Now, are most of those going to be 1 and 2 hoot paintings?
Most are 1 and 2 hoot.
And I know that you've got a...
We kind of lighten it up for the holiday time.
Yeah, I know you've got a couple of 1 hoot coming up real early.
Yep. Yeah. And you can see the first one is in the list, and they're actually probably all going to be posting pretty soon.
Yeah,
I want more pinky purple in that. So I'm going to go here and here and...
And you can see all those Christmas collections at TheArtSherpa.com/Christmas.
Yeah, everything we've done before, and you can kind of get a sense of how long it's going to go. It's going to go a little while. I'm just mixing that darker value up there. There we go. Let's get right into that brown, back into that zinc.
Julie is warning me that there's some Australians in the room. She must have seen our mods.
Uh-oh.
We've got a bunch of Australians here with us, don't we?
We do.
We do.
We are not shy of that community.
Oh, it's awesome. We've got a few from New Zealand as well, I think.
I think
A few
so.
Kiwis out there.
We are
Oh.
well attended around the world
Yeah.
because everybody likes to paint. Something we can kind of agree on. It's a
Yeah, and
species, I suppose.
I think I see some of our viewers from India have just come in too.
That's awesome.
Huh.
So I'm just continuing to pull this reflection line that we need to have. That's a nice water line between these two. And just when you think you're like, I'm so over rocks, you got to paint all the other rocks. You got to paint the other rocks on the other side. I'm going to give myself some hard lines. So I have a lot of soft watermark lines, right? And I'm coming back through with my brush, and this is a hard line. Maybe like, oh, I've got a little line there, and my rock is cracked here, and some cracks here. I have my smaller cloud here somewhere, and I'm going to just scumble that pink that we got. The pink that we got. Up that little line here.
Doo-doo.
Just making that little striation. Put out a little more ultramarine as we need. Apparently did not need burnt sienna. And just include that kiss of bluish awesome. Right? That was really striking here. More zinc. The nice thing about zinc is it keeps you from having to overwhelm your canvas. And back here maybe a little bit. Okay, guys, we got that whole lake reflection in.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Let's see how we're doing. Oh, that looks pretty reflecting.
Yeah. I guess
Are you
pretty
kind
good.
of tripping out? I'm gonna
Yeah.
let you process that.
That looks pretty good. I like that. That turned out nice.
Didn't that turn out nice? And that's really that's an important part. Sometimes, you just sort of plan or strategize, like, where am I going to put a lot of my effort and attention? It's about these rocks. It might be about this little weird tree here and about these other sort of trees that are happening here. And then you just make sure that these things are coming together in the way that you need. Oh, I hope my coffee's still warm.
I think I turned your warmer on.
Did you?
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Allen, for that.
So how is everybody doing? How are we feeling
Pretty good.
about our painting?
This is pretty fantastic. They're enjoying that this whole thing. They think this is a really gorgeous painting, and
Yes, gorgeous painting.
the reflection has have been very interesting for everyone. They've been thinking this has been pretty crazy, seeing all the reflections going in.
Well, and there's a lot of ways to do that. Like,
What did you just put out there? Sorry.
I just put out cad red light and
Okay.
a little more burnt umber because I'm running low,
Okay.
and so I got to kind of put the colors out that are drying out or I'm running low on.
So I just watching what you're putting out there, because
Yeah,
wait,
so I'm
what
just-
did you?
Probably more than I need, but I don't know how much what I'm going to have to do with this green with my orange, and I got this word purple, so I just want to make sure I have enough.
Yeah.
Just making sure I have enough. Enough. So we can have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And now listen, anytime I'm doing a cloud brush, you guys can do a bristle brush. You can do a bright. You can do a stiff, blown out round or a deerfoot stippler. These are just... The whole purpose of these is that I can scumble and scrape and press as hard as I want. I can even press out, which we're going to do in a little bit, really thick applications of paint. And they're going to hold up and be there for me later when I need them. Okay. I feel like I need even more ultramarine than I put out.
Where'd you? There you go.
There you go. So, first one, we're going to just get in the first two kind of basic shapes and values, right? So we have this one and this one. So we know this one is just a little more to the pink than the rock in front of it. So I'm going to take that into account when I'm mixing its gray. I'm adding more of that quinacridone to it, making sure it's quite dark. And just a smidge of the zinc so you can see it. And let's more pink than that. And just get this in here. Now this one isn't going to have wonderful soft fuzzy reflections. Right? We're not going to hit it with a little zinc push. Right? So know that you need to have hard edges now all the way out. Hard edges all the way out. I'm just making sure I've got my first layer that I'm depending on in. And then the next one's going to be a lot more of the blue and brown together. The ultramarine and the burnt umber. And there's a lot happening here. It's sort of interesting, so I'm just excited to talk about it and paint it. And I have this nice grouping of trees up here, which I'm super thrilled about. So we're going to just get this put in. How are we doing? Let me look. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. I just need to make sure I've got enough paint. My issue with burnt umber is that it's very transparent. It's a wonderful brown, super cool, but it's very transparent. So you really have to keep with it paints that improve its opacity. If you're buying it in the student grade, it can be almost like a glaze.
Mm-hmm.
Super frustrating. Super frustrating that. So if you find that you're just miserable with your browns, that's another good one to upgrade if it's just not, you know, taking good care of you.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed to. I have to make sure. See, I've already done the flip thing. I have to make sure that this reflects what I did down here, so that they're a nice mirror to each other. All right. And it looks like I need to get a little pink on here and a little zinc. Just making sure I got a good reflection. And it might be counterintuitive to take that color, but it really helps you, one, tell the rocks apart, and two, you have so many layers. And you're trying to talk about an under aspect of these. So super important that this matches this. In some fundamental way. A little more zinc. How is everybody doing?
Good.
Let's do a little highlight right here. A little highlight.
Yeah.
A little highlight. We're going to come with our scumbly brushes in a minute, but it needs to have its little relax. We're going to let everything relax for a second and put in some tree trunks. That's always nice. Let's put in some tree trunks. So these are our furthest back trees, and then there's kind of this, there's this here and there's this grouping here, but to get these guys in, I kind of got to get them in early. All right. So I'm going to get my trunk color, which is my burnt umber, and my ultramarine. I'm going to paint a nice trunk, and it's going to be kind of like a little curve coming up this way. A little thicker at the base. Good to do a number 4 round when you do it. Sometimes if you have trouble with your line, you can set it thinner at the top. Let it dry brush in. Whatever you got to do to get through. It's your painting. Woohoo, I get to use some burnt umber.
You painted a tree.
Thank goodness. I was freaking out. I was like, why did I put this out? I know.
A tree.
Tree. Just the warmer wood of these trees. Would have a little bit of that in there. Let's have a little friend be here. Sort of thought out tree. If you didn't have the burnt umber, don't worry about it though. Don't worry about it. Just go, burnt sienna, don't worry about it. Just go all burnt umber. Just planting a couple big trees here. These guys are doing their little tree thing. It's okay to think about your trunk a little bit. We don't often do it, but we're going to actually today just think about these things a little bit. So I'm going to take a little of my CAD red light and a little of my CAD yellow. And my brush is dirty, but look, I've warmed it up with the orange. I'm going to put a little of this on my tree trunks up here. Weird thing, but I care. All right, so I've got that going in. Now, there's some distinctive branches and some indistinctive branches, and I'm going to choose to just do some of the indistinct stuff. And, the distinct stuff. Not because it stinks, but it's distinct. So, like, important branch, I felt compositionally was this nice one that came out this direction and curved up. Liked it. I don't know how you guys felt about it, but I thought it was a bomb. Just paint your trees in. Load your brush. Now there's this one here, and it kind of has a bit of a bent into it. As you can paint it in. There's this weird, crazy tree that's clearly over here that's got, stuff crossing in front of these guys. I'm going to make sure that there's maybe some distant little... You can kind of see these little logs and branches I'm making.
Mm-hmm.
Now maybe there's one here coming off. It's got a little broken bit there. Go ahead and enjoy and take the time, if you have it, to do it. Is everybody okay?
Oh, yeah. Really loving this.
Lots of take some branches out. Now, generally on pine trees, they don't deviate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, generally.
Yeah, pine trees are a different kind of tree rule.
They are.
They kind of go up, and then these branches kind of go out.
Yeah, that's their whole thing. And you can put a little of these that you know are out here, but these are going to be lost in this grouping. You're pretty much going to be dealing with, you know, what's happening here and there. You know, and when they're dry brushed, it's really interesting. It's another way of making them seem far away. So putting a group of, you know, mishy-mashied dry brush little branches here can make it seem like there's a whole lot more than are. Get some fluid on there so it flows off my brush. Load, 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 load. Little blue. What nice flowy. These are just happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Get my zinc. Set a soft highlight on my trunks. If I over highlight, just brush off my brush and blend it out. Soft highlight on the trunks. Same reason why they were warm. Now we've got all that up there. We've got to put some leaves in before we get our next group. Right? And so our leaves, and I may even get into my palette knife to give me a little bit of a hand here, are going to be a deep green and I have to put up. This is going to be hard to palette knife. Don't pay attention to the fact that I'm doing this. Don't pay attention to that. So I'm going to put up my green and my burnt sienna. And even a little of this ultramarine blue. And I'm going to make one kind of very deep green color, and we'll put that where we want it to be. So I'm going to take my ultramarine blue, and I'm going to mix that with my deep green, but I want it more green than blue. And I'm going to add burnt umber to it. Not burnt umber, burnt sienna. See that there? It is a deep forest green. I'm going to get my smallest, my number 4 cloud. I'm going to start putting some wonderful tree texture where I can. Enjoy this part. Now, it's a nice thing to leave some of your branch bare or some of your trunk bare.
What's the name of the green?
A forest green?
Is that the name of the green you mix there?
Phthalo green with a little ultramarine blue and burnt sienna.
Ah, okay. You have to tap your palette over there. I'll just touch. I think it's just other way.
Okay.
There, perfect. Yeah.
Oh, always let me know if it's not showing. I'm so happy to stop and do that. I'm team. That's all paint. So I love doing this to create a interesting kind of tree. It is my favorite. I might, come back and have little bits, but then as I come here, it gets stronger and more thought out. And I've got plenty, so I've got lots and lots of paint. And I just love it. Let's see how that's looking. backing up. Oh, yeah. Ooh, beautiful landscape.
Yes, everybody is saying that. They think that they're saying you're setting that canvas on fire.
On fire! Or on fleek or something. So see, I'm just touching. So these actually, and again, you could use just a small, stiff, bright, and you could use even a tip of a palette knife. But what we're doing is, see, these are all very soft. Now I am balancing that against hard edges, changes the focus and focal of the painting. And this is textural, like a palette knife painting. You just put these little. I was telling John these would do the nicest Monet landscape.
Yeah.
It's just be like super fun. All right, there we go. We're just see how we're just discussing. And it's so like you can see the. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah.
And I haven't even done the highlight in it yet. Makes me happy. Makes me so happy. All the rest of your days. And what's nice about this is I will get to use up all this paint. You don't have to do what I do with my paint because you're not teaching art on YouTube. So, you conserve your paint. You're not cooking it. You're not painting in an easy bake oven, I hope.
Yeah, no. And you're using a little bit of your glazing medium?
Nope.
No, not there. I guess not.
Okay. Ultramarine blue, phthalo green, burnt umber mixed together with a palette knife.
That's it.
This is Heavy Bodied Paint by Golden. If you're painting a student paint, a lot of your texture will disappear. But if you're painting like Liquitex Heavy Body or Golden or Matisse, every little peak and valley of this will remain. Now the nice thing about this is that if you make the mark small or soft, right, then they feel distant and far away. So if they're dry brushed, if they're soft, if they're lightly applied. See how some of these are soft?
Yeah.
So you can create a bunch of distant leaves as well as these more considered ones that we're doing. Let me look. Getting there. It needs to be a lot more right here. I love it. Do you love it? I hope you love it.
Oh, yeah.
I hope you love it. Just, take a minute and plant trees. Have you taken enough time to plant trees? Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. It can be really nice to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's tough to want to get too detailed here because I know I got this big mass, this mob of trees.
Yeah.
So they're almost going to have to be dark, dry brushed in, and then some details put in it. And then a little bit of this on top to give them a pop of, character. Just getting that done. I'm so happy. Looking good. It's itchy. Just a little distance, little peeking through. So that's looking pretty good. Liking it.
Yeah.
Liking it a lot. Gonna rinse this out. Now I'm going to treat myself to this little bristle brush.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna grab this here and I'm gonna start talking about this background. And it even needs to be almost a little darker than it is, so I'm going to put a little more ultramarine into it. There we go. See how it's darker?
Yeah.
You're going to start talking about this. This comes up here. I'm just going to dry brush, and you can see I'm wiggling my brush around. There is this, like here, kind of come here. I'm going to just discuss the shapes with this background dry brush. This is how I'm going to hang these other trees so, you know, into this space. You don't need that much of it, but you do need some of this to feel very dark and deep. You know, you can even get into your... That was my burnt sienna. I'm going to pull this color, so I'm tapping this down this way. This is very deep. We don't have black. This would normally be like, you might tone this with black if you wanted. This is the ultramarine and the burnt sienna. Now just softly dry brush. I'm going to leave a little space here for this next tree. You can't do too much of this because then I will lose the airiness that I'm going to have when I do the tapping. So you've got to just figure out where your balance is. An interesting thing, if I put out some zinkies, put out your zinks.
Zinkies.
Put out your zinkies. Whoop. I'm going to offload my brush a little bit. And back here, I'm going to just softly come in front of these trees and pull down, dry brush down. A little highlight here. Maybe just one more little kiss of a highlight. Not a lot. You don't want too much. You don't want to know too much. Maybe a little bit soft highlight. See, it's like the zinc blends in and it lets the light kind of come in through that space. One of my faves. You can even sit there and say, oh, maybe a little bit, but then no. Did she just snartful?
Yeah.
Is this one of those times I'm taking too long again?
No.
All right, back into our branches. We got to put a couple trunks in. Put out burnt umber. I've got out some ultramarine. I'll have to kiss a little bit maybe with phthalo blue. I'm not really sure. Ultramarine. There we go. And thinky. Round brush. Okay. Now this is authentically me. This mad collection of little brushes.
The drawers piled up on your easel.
Yeah.
instead of spread out in the little bin that you have them stored for.
So I've got my burnt and my ultramarine. I'm going to take a little zinc. I'm going to give myself some kisses of implied branches and trunks and little fellows that are growing back here, right? They're growing. Let's imply them back here. They're here. There's a lot happening. Even like a couple little trunks coming through the break. Little zinc so they show up. Because what you really see is the highlights, right? Especially when they're in this deep shrubberies. All right, I feel like I have enough probably implied there to really tell a nice trunk story. I haven't really made my mind up about the deadfall. I am going to take a little bit of this green and maybe some burnt umber and some zinc. Even a little more burnt umber. And just touch. Touch. A little touch there. A little bit of plant life right here. I don't know if you see it. I see it. It's just has to be talked about. Why? I don't know. But I'm doing it. Now my next thing is going to be this brighter green, and I'm liking. Oh wait, no, I can put in a lot more of my darker green.
Can you?
Yes, I can. Where is my little cloud? Because I was really excited to do this technique for these leaves and stuff. We did this method on a simple painting over Southwest Week, where we did some aspen trees using this method. And that is always super fun. And you can see how the distant soft plays really well against the upfront hard. Well, hopefully you can. All right, there's a whole thing happening here that's super important. There's a break in this little pine and its little branches. Leave trunk showing. Leave room for Brisbee to play. You want areas that are very solid and built. Do you see how I'm building like a little structure right here?
Yeah.
And then it's going to have another little shelf structure right here. And then we're going to have another little shelf structure. And these are like little shelves. And the texture's really fun. I'm pulling these out. Just pull them out. And now this again. So there's that little break. Maybe it's a little bit open out here. Then it kind of gets more packed densely here. Let's look. It's always good to back up. So like if it looks good already in shadow, you're in a good space. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
If you're doing great in shadow, you are in a great space. Now, it might be tempting to leave some of this completely clear, but I'm going to put a little break down here just to make sure that it feels planted as much as it can. I'm going to rinse this out. And now we're going to play with highlights. A little green. I'm going to, I think, I've been really liking my Indian Yellow and Cad red. If you don't have Indian yellow, just use the, yellow ochre or cadmium yellow. I'm going to put a little of the cat out for when I need to do a popping highlight. A big one.
Mm-hmm.
In case I do. In case I do. Might not need to, but just in case I do. So I'm going to mix up a little bit of this very light orange. And then even take some of it over here to the cat and mix an even lighter orange. There we go. And then that with the greens should give me some very interesting, if I take a little of that here and just play with that, I'm getting some very interesting highlights for my trees and grasses, as well as right into that Indian yellow. And this I can work with my zinc. So we're doing pretty good. 2 brighter colors. And you can see right here, it's brighter.
Yeah.
Right, those are brighter. I can use that if I have to. Mix it all up, and then it's good. There you go. So let's put a little highlight on the tree. Now, the darker highlight is mostly going to be these guys up here, and not too much of a lighter highlight. It'll have a bit. But, you wouldn't necessarily see too many of those colors. And again, you can just tap your bright, the corner of your bright. Even here in the shadow, maybe there's a little bit of this. Kiss, 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 kiss. Kiss, kiss, kiss. A little bit of light kissing. Like you do. And here we go on this little bit on this branch coming out. See how that is? Just that little bit of light. Can we see it? I'm going to get a little bit of my light highlight and put just a few in. Shelves. Just a few shelves. Not too much. Can you see it now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There we go. A little bit. Oh, I like that. Super fun. Super duper fun. A little more yellow. A little more green in here. For my light highlight. Get a smidge of CAD. So I'm just keeping those two highlights playing against each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
It moves me on. Just make sure they're
The
lighter than this. So we've got at least 3 values of pine tree. We're almost done.
The palette knife is so that you can mix this more evenly, right?
Yeah, I'm just using my palette knife to mix large amounts very quickly and evenly. All right, let's shelf it. My little pine has happy little shelves. Little leaves. Little leaves. Respect the shelves. And your pines will reveal themselves to you. There's a little shelf. How are we doing? I love it. Now I'm going to come here and I'm doing little shelves. And you see how there's just like a highlight?
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like there's almost like you can see the branches. If you think about how you assemble a Christmas tree. Imagine you can kind of understand what I mean. As you're coming up.
And you're fast over there.
Huh?
Sometimes you're just fast getting paint. You're like, bah-bah.
Am I?
Sometimes.
Oh, sorry.
Nope.
I feel like I'm painting so slow this week.
Yeah, no, it's
Like, man.
sometimes I'm watching chat and you go to get paint and man, if I'm not on you, it's there in your back.
All right. You guys loving this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. There's lots of. I'm watching chat over here, which is why I'm kind of quiet and distracted. And they're having a really nice time out here. They're talking about this painting. They've enjoyed painting all of the different landscapes, and they're looking forward to this Christmas. And
Oh, Christmas is going to be so fun.
yeah.
Again, some of those will be just like an hour-long live.
And some people they were chatting about how they enjoy. Some folks enjoy watching the show first and then coming back and painting it later. Some are trying to paint along live. So
the trick with your pine green is I like to brighten or lighten my pine green, not with white, but with orange. And if it gets too bright, I just add a little more orange to what I have. Not that you couldn't lighten with white, but I just like to use that sparingly. Like that, you know how sometimes the pines have that, it's almost like a coating of blue. Dusty blue on the needles at the tips. It could just be me who's been looking at that. How are we doing? And our little group of branches, our little
really good
trees. Now, while we're here real quick, I gotta do something about this rock so I can plant a tree real fast and finish him, and then we just finish the rocks and we're good.
Mm.
All right, so I'm going to, just for purposes of just expedition, take a little of my ultramarine and my burnt sienna. I don't know what is with me today.
A color on the palette that we're using.
Color. You should
one
have
of those. Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to make sure that this furthest back area has some developed value because I want to put a trunk through it. And I can't really do that if I don't develop any of the value here. Doesn't have to be all finished. But the part where, you know, I couldn't paint through, I would like to have finished. And there's this sort of blue cast here. So I just want to make sure that I'm painting that right now.
So Jay LeBlanc would like to let you know how nice you're looking today.
Oh, thank you.
And Pandoria would like to know if you would consider this impressionism or
You know, for me, this is a romantic. This is romantic impressionism. But you know, if you spend enough time with it, you would soften this differently. You would. A lot of artists go, I'm a realist, and I'm looking at the thing going, no, I don't think so. I think you're an impressionist, but that's cool. This is definitely impressionism. Because I am painting my impressions, right? I'm not every detail. I'm painting my impressions.
Yeah, you're not painting the absolute image of what's there. You're painting an idealistic image of what's there.
Yeah. And it's the idealistic that puts it into that romantic space. So there's this little tree, and he's growing up out of the rocks. Come on, little buddy, grow for me. He needs to be a little grayer. He doesn't have a whole lot of branches even. He's kind of reminds me of the Charlie Brown Christmas tree. There we go. And there he is, all lightly growing there. And I thought, you know, we did him here. And remember, whenever you put something important up, you can always, like, get into that more in the reflection if you need to. See? Talk about it more. Make that work better. That's just a thing that you can do if you want. Oh, there he is. He's got little branches. Might as well paint his little branches. And so on stuff like this, you know, get yourself a good brush that will give you details. You do, if you're going to do any landscape painting, you need certain tools, really. And it's nice to have something that will dry brush. It's nice to have something that will do detail lines. You know, it's good to have a nice big brush that will come and cover a lot of space for you if you need to do big soft blending. You don't need a million tools, but it's good to have a few in.
Just the number 8 cat's tongue.
Just that number 8 cat. I could have probably done the whole painting with the number 8 cat's tongue. But, you know, it's nice. I get some criticism where you probably would know this, for changing brushes a lot. There are purists in the art world that believe you should not change your brush. And there is some thinking to that.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, they're like, you should be able to paint your painting with like 1 or 2 brushes. I was like, maybe.
True.
Probably you could do that.
I felt like it. It's my painting. I'm
could
here to have a good time.
probably build a house with just a hammer and a handsaw, but that might, you know, not be as fun.
Right?
You know.
Having a lot of fun with this little tree. I thought he was quite a character. And so to me, it was very interesting, the idea of coming in and maybe painting this little tree like you do. Just making sure I have enough little fiddly branches for this to feel like, when I put the little stuff on it, where it's going to feel really authentic. And I'm going to get my zinc. Maybe a little of my number and some orange. Just give the front of this tree a little warm highlight. Just something to say that there's a little highlight here. A little bit on our tree. You know, it's got shadings. It's got shadings. This is probably the most landscapey landscape we've done.
Yeah.
This is our most landscapey landscape. So if you've done the mountain with the wildflowers and you've done the last year's fall landscape or my very strange, do you remember that really? I'm going to get my dark green again. On my number 4 cloud, we did it, the weird lighthouse.
We've had several weird lighthouses.
That's true. Why do you keep doing it? Why do I do that to all of us? I don't know. I'm going to add a little more blue to this. Even a little more burnt umber. Just deepen it. Gray it out. I really find painting him super fun.
Yeah?
Yeah, he gives me great joy. He's a he. Anytime you start to refer to an object in your painting as having a persona, it's a good indication that you're fond of it. It's just fun to do things where you're like, I really enjoy. believe it or not, given our time here, we're really just paint sketching.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not, you know. And I'm going to take some of the, I'm going to cross from these guys a little bit in front of him and layer to get placement. Yeah, I did that. It happened. Just a little bit at the bottom with this dark color. You know, just different little. Wipe off, come to my mid-tone. My mid-tone. Maybe put a little mid-tone here. Highlights, catch a couple. If you can. Definitely some more mid-tone right here. Come here, mid-tone. I'm just putting mid-tone to the tops of where I have my shadows. Everything's shaded. So if there's a shadow here, I'm going to sit there and, you know, talk about what's above it. If I take too much of that out, I come back with my shadow. All right, am I happy with the shape? I got to look. Yeah, I'm happy with the shape.
It turned out really nice.
It's coming out really nice. Needs to show, though.
Yeah.
Here we go. Secret sauce. Touch. All right, let's see how we're doing. Yep. I'm going to just keep, I'm going to work a couple of my, let's get our quinacridone back out wherever we put it. I know I look at stuff and then I'm like, where'd you go? This is why my daughter comes out and sets things for me. Because she knows mom is completely lost and unable to find herself in any real way. So I'm going to just real quick mix myself up a couple little grays. I'm going to take my burnt here into my ultramarine. So this is more of a grade brown. Right, there we go. Put a little more ultramarine out over here. So it'll be slightly different. Put some just for highlights or whatever. There we go, making a nice, muting that a good bit. Got some value ranges here. I'll take a little bit of this over and give myself some pink tones to it because we got this pink value in the rock that we're weirdly dealing with. If you ever need to gray it, you put green in it. Color theory is awesome. So there we go. So we got some colors to work with real fast. We're going to take our scumbly brush, like you do. Also, I think I've got this cool purple bush I don't want to forget that I got to do. It's more quinacridone. We'll put a little green in it so it's grayed. Get some zinc. I'm going to tap a little purple bush here with my number 6. Not a whole lot of it, just an indication that this happened here. Okay, a little more, Put acetone, more zinc. And again, it's that it won't over whiten it, so you get these light effects, which is what you want. A little bit of that here, maybe, and it came up there. Fun stuff. I'm gonna just wipe off my brush, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take and add this, which was the ultramarine and the burnt umber. Add a little more blue to it, and I'm going to come and start to dry brush this rock. Just so it can start building up its value sets. Like you need to. Now, around here, it's very important that we do a horizontal stroke because there's a watermark around the rocks. So we're going to be randomizing and rockifying everything, which is like a scumble, right? Like I'm scumbling. You can scumble with my cloud brush, and you can scumble with a bristle brush. You can see the scumble. See how I just wiggle this brush around?
Mm-hmm.
A little more blue in there. You know, have it happen. All right. There we go. Let's get a little more zinc on there. Now, there is a rock face that comes right here in front of this. Kind of comes down here. And so I'm going to just, it's a little pinker. And any of that, I'm going to come right here. More, it'll be lighter right here. Right here is lighter. Just talking about it a little bit. Now we have this guy. All right. Let's see how we're doing. So we've got our reflection. See, it's starting to look really good. Hot mess up front.
This is looking really good.
Really good from a few minutes back. All right. Let's get our dark color and give ourselves some hard edges that we're dealing with. So I think this is almost our darkest color, but we need to add more ultramarine to it to really deepen it out. Let's here we go. Just the hard edges of your rock. I'm going to thicken that here, and there's another neat little one here. And if I'm adding something, all I do is I just come back and add it in the reflection. You see? So now my adjustments to the reflection are super minor. So if I want to add something, I come here. This is kind of a nice hard edge. Make sure this is on shadow on both sides. There we go. That's got a little break in it. Just making sure it's on both sides. See?
Mm-hmm.
Get away with almost anything. we have this very dark waterline. At the front of the rocks, I'm going to load just blue on my brush and get a little of my zinc. The front of here, there is a really noticeably blue color. I'll have to go back and put my shadow back, but it's just, and it's also at the front of here. And again, as you're adjusting, you adjust for both your reflection and the rock above it, right? So, whatever you gotta do to fix what you got to do it.
They're just coming together really nicely.
Yeah, it just does. It's pretty fun stuff. Now I'm going to get into that pink, that crazy pink I made. A little more. There we go.
Little waterline reflection there.
Yeah. I may need to knock that back a bit. We'll see. You know, you just as, you know, it's like, it is like the upside down.
Mm-hmm.
If it's down here, it's got to be up there. They're back and forth. They reflect each other as much as you can get them to. They do. Just making sure that's a little pinker. And see, I'm just making sure reflect. So back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that's how you pull that. And no, I do, like, super fun. So I'm going to make sure that I kind of trim this top one here a little bit. So I'm going to take the zinc. Just make sure that it's real similar to the line I have there. All right.
Wow.
We're getting there.
It's so nice.
Isn't it lovely?
I love how it's looking.
It's really nice. I'm just going to keep doing this because I want to show you guys both ways to get it done.
Okay.
So it's nice to know both ways. I've got this pinkish color that I made. I'll add a little more pink to it. Get my zinc on here. A lot more zinc on there. I have to fix a thing here, and that's no problem. And so it's gonna be a little bit there. All right, let's get a little more of the white right here. Keep working this. Maybe highlight there. And a little more pink. You can even add a little cad red to it if you need to. And then back into your rock mixture.
Julie was just commenting, it's like it just keeps getting better the more layers.
The layers are always good for the rocks. Rocks love layers.
Aslan thinks it needs an Ewok.
Well, I mean,
Well, if you're going to put an Ewok, then you have to put a couple. If it's going to be a forest moon, then you're going to have to put.
I am lightning and lightning and lightning, if that's what you see me going and doing. Lightning and lightning and lightning. So just make sure that the front edges are highlighted as they would be. I go a little white here and just make sure. Rough, multi-directional brush strokes. Right, I'm just changing up my brush strokes, kind of keying into my values. Gonna assess now.
Assess.
It's nice to assess.
It looks
And
great.
When I'm really assessing, even more than the reference photo, is this point, my reflection to reflection is really key. So I'm going to get back into some deep shadows. And I'm going to make some things definitely darker. Just make sure that I've got these worked out. So if I've got this, I gotta get it more. Here we go. More. Right. Making sure. If we have these lines that they're in both spots.
Oh.
Darker.
If you were worried about overworking an area, what would you advise to people when they're working on their rocks so that they don't? Pandoria was concerned. She was like, when we were reaching, that critical stage where it could be easily overworked. How can we prevent that?
Well, one thing is periodically take a picture with your cell phone and look at it.
Yeah. Just take a step back.
Because there'll be a moment where it's like really there. And it's okay to walk away from a piece for a second. Right? That's all right. You can do that for sure. Walk away from a piece for a second.
Yeah.
A
lot of that's experience, huh?
It is. It is experience sometimes. And that can be frustrating. But really, it's just about, stepping back. And, you see artists step back a lot, like literally step back. That's what they're doing. They're just kind of evaluating. All right. I need some grasses, and there's no need to really change my brush to do that.
Yeah. Some grasses.
Because I have all this nonsense right here, right?
You have some greens.
So we have some orange. Add a little. Love adding quinacridone to my oranges. Right? And these are start with this more quinacridone and
Yeah.
And I'm going to do an interesting thing. So I've got this bristle brush.
Okay.
I'll just push this little guy up. That's 2. I'm going to add smidge of ultramarine to just push it back. It was just too much.
So cool. Oh, yeah. I guess you have to add a reflection too, huh?
Yep. Just a little bit,
Yeah.
You can come get a little of your yellow into that. Makes a brighter color. And maybe a little zinc. And just hit a little of the highlights. Just a kiss to the grasses.
Wow.
Just a little kiss. And then while you've got this on your brush, you can come get one of your good yummy greens if there's any left anywhere. Go searching for it. We have to put a little green out. Oh, we had none left. Isn't that sad? We used up all our yumminess.
That's okay. That's why it comes in a tube so you can put more out.
I guess that's true. Back into my... There we go. It's sort of muted, and we can come here and say, oh no, but there's something happening right here. Just a little bit. Kissing here and there. I'm almost done.
Reflections
I'm
and all that.
Well, there's just a couple little touches that pull the whole thing together, and so I'm reticent to not go.
Oh no,
the
we
whole way.
definitely get them in there. No, I think we're doing just fine here. Everyone's really enjoying this. This is really good.
So I'm just taking my CAD red into my phthalo. I'm gonna make sure I add a little guy here.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another little guy there. I gotta get a little of that red right there too.
Yeah.
And that's real easy. Like even if I have to, I like go get some right here. Right into the green. Right here. So this is, I love, love, love working that crazy orange into my green. Weird little plant guy. He lives here. Little friend. Last thing.
Wow. That looks really good.
Doesn't it look nice?
I mean, from here it looks like a big, better version of the picture.
Does it? Does it? I'm sorry it took 3 hours. I didn't know.
No, we're fine. We're just now pulling
I
up on
lost
that 3
track
hour.
of time.
It's it's what we do when we paint is just kick back and enjoy it. And you know what? How fantastic is it that we've got all these people here together to paint for an afternoon? That's a really pleasant, wonderful thing to do. So thank you guys for coming and being part of that with us.
So definitely right along here. Got to add a little, got to make a little waterline decision. My little advice on waterlines is be kind of light about it. See how my line kind of skips and evaporates? That helps me. And then where I need to fix it right there, I've got my dark color. I'm going to take advantage of it while I've got it. Knock that back a bit. All right. There we go. I just need to knock back a bit. And then there's a bit of these water lines around. So I'll get my angle brush again. And I will just add some. A couple of them into the reflection. Oh. Rinse that out and just take that off.
Just erased it a little bit.
Make it a feature, not a fault. The reflection across the mirroring is what helps really pull it. Okay, that's it. That's what we have to do. We did it.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
We did it. Is it? How's it?
That is amazing. Wow. Okay, can you go ahead, tilt it over so I can zoom in on it?
Okay.
Let's do this. All right.
Amazing is strong, but I like it.
No, everybody's been really loving this, and it looks so nice. You can tilt it up there into the light a little more. Oh, yeah. That's great, Cinnamon.
So to recap, we did an acrylic colored ground, and we used cad red light, yellow ochre, and white to create it, and we grayed it with an ultramarine blue. We did 2 layers, and we made sure that we put just a hint of blue here and warmed up the center here in the sky. We started with our background trees first, and then we used our zinc to start creating the fog and effects here. We made sure we got our reflections in. We talked about wiggling them out and blending them out and making them into scripts so that they're softer and more reflecty. We used zinc again to create some more reflections. We did the reflection first of the rock and trees and then flipped it, and that way as we did things up here we could match it down here. We put these 2 little guys back first as we built up forward. We did this side of the rocks with the cloud brush, and we did this side with the bristle. And my point to that is, look, it's fine. They're both fine.
Yep.
They look like they go together. I just don't, like if there was a magic brush, I would totally give it to you guys. But I love it, and it's great to have a consistent scumble brush, and that can be hard to find in heavy body paint. And we got it all done.
Yeah?
I am so excited. So I will be seeing you for Jon Snow this week for Big Art Quest. It's going to be a 2-dayer. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. I hope some of you will tackle this landscape, and I want to see you at the easel really soon. Bye-bye. Supposed to do that.